let's go ahead and assume that AccessiBe and any other overlay actually makes your website accessible. Let's assume that. And it's wrong. That's not true. Overlays, these accessibility widgets, they don't make your website accessible whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. But let's just assume that they do. Even if they do, even if they worked flawlessly, there is one fatal flaw. And that fatal flaw is that you have to activate it. So you're creating this separate experience whereby if someone has a disability, they have to activate an accessible version of your website because your website inherently isn't accessible. So what happens if someone doesn't know to activate this separate version of your website? Well, they're left with an inaccessible website. That's a fatal flaw, right? Because what overlays are hoping is that everyone focuses in on screen reader users because their link there to activate is going to be presented first to someone who is using a screen reader. But I mean, what if a screen reader user simply bypasses it right away, just knowing they're going to go to content lower down on the page? What if they're skipping ahead right away and they get an inaccessible website because they didn't pay attention to the link? Or what if someone has a different disability and they go to the website and they don't notice the clickable icon to access this supposedly accessible version of the website? What are they left with? An inaccessible website. And this is just one of the ways that overlays or anything that where you are enabling accessibility, you are activating accessibility, any anytime there's a mechanism available for you to activate accessibility, you have failed accessibility. You have not made your website accessible. What you have done is you have created a separate version of your website to be rendered with accessibility options available on the side that may or may not make your website more accessible. Think of there's nothing wrong with, let's say, like there's a plugin and you can increase the size of your text easily on your website using a plus or minus on using the plus or minus options from that plugin. There's nothing wrong with having that on your website. What is wrong is using a widget that you've installed to in furtherance of making your website accessible. It doesn't make your website accessible. It just adds those options on top of your website. It doesn't work in and of itself, but one problem is that your website's not accessible. It would only in theory be accessible if someone activated that option. But if they don't activate it, then they're left with an inaccessible website. And I've seen time and again where complaints are filed in court and the accessibility widget is ignored, or they say that it doesn't activate it. They say that it creates a worse experience than if there had been no accessibility widget. And it doesn't matter which one it is. They're all basically the same. Some do some things that others don't, but this is not amazing technology. This is very rudimentary technology that has been used over and over again. It's been repackaged over and over again. It's not special. It's not cutting edge technology. It's very basic software that can have options that render your website differently, and sometimes there's a marginal benefit, but more importantly, it doesn't make your website accessible. But even if it did, you still have to know to activate it. And in that case, it's easy to not see the icon, to not be aware of the icon, to bypass the icon, or more importantly, not want to use this accessibility widget. So it just the widget itself introduces contemplations that shouldn't even be necessary for someone to use and access and interact with a website, right? Everyone should be able to go to a website. The way we experience that website may be different, but either way, all experiences should be accessible.